Alright guys, today we're going to look at how to multiply monomials. How to multiply monomials. So the product rule, the product rule states that when we multiply, first blank, two or more terms that have the same base, we can add their exponents. So when we multiply two or more terms that have the same base, again, the base is the number, not the exponent. So this is the base. This is the exponent. So when we multiply these two together, they have the same base. The base is a. What we can do is we can add their exponents. So in this case, it would be m plus n. So let's look at some examples. Right? I have 2 to the third power. Okay, what 2 to the third power is, that means that it's 2 times itself 3 times. Right? So this is saying 2 times 2 times 2. That's what this means. 2 to the fourth power means it's 2 times itself 4 times. That's what that means. Okay, so let's count how many 2's we have multiplied together. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we know that this is 2 to the 7th power. Well, if I go back up here, my base in this case is 2. My exponents are 3 and 4. Well, if I have the same base and I'm multiplying, I could say that's 2 raised to the 3 plus 4, or 2 raised to the 7th power. That's what it looks like expanded out. Okay, well, what if I have a variable instead of a number? My variable here is my base. My base is x. So x squared is saying x times x. X to the third is saying x times itself 3 times. Okay, well, I've got x times itself 5 times. So if I don't want to expand it out, all I got to do is say that's x and that's x. The base is the same, so let's just add our exponents. What's 2 plus 3? That's 5, x to the 5th. Alright, so let's go down, let's look at some examples. Number 1, I've got x to the 4th, x to the 6th, again the same base. So I've got x to the 4 plus 6, which equals x to the 10th. Number 2, I've got y, this is to the first power, it's an understood 1. And y to the 10th, that gives me y to the 11th. Here I've got m to the first power, m to the second power, and m to the 5th power. Okay, well, those are all the same base, m, m, and m. So I've got m raised to the 5 plus 2 is 7 plus 1 is 8. Okay, now let's throw in some coefficients. Okay, well, again, we're multiplying these together, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply my coefficients. Now, this is the big difference. You're going to multiply your coefficients, but like we did up here, we're going to add our exponents. So in this case, my base is x. My coefficients are 5 and 6. Well, 5 times 6 is 30. X to the third and x to the 5th. Again, my base is x. If I have the same base, I can add the exponents. So 3 plus 5 is x to the 8th. Let's go to number 5. Again, if I have coefficients, I can multiply. So my coefficients, my numbers in front, are negative 6 and 4. There's a 1 here. Doesn't matter. I don't need to multiply by 1. Negative 6 times 4 is going to give me a negative 24. Now let's go to our variables. Okay, so the variable x. X, no x is here. Okay, so let's see how many x's we got. We got x to the first. We've got x squared. So when I'm multiplying these together, I'm adding the first and the second. That gives me x to the third. Now let's look at our base of y. How many y's do we have? We got y squared. We've got y to the 4th. So 2 plus 4 gives me y to the 6th. Number 6, I've got a negative 1 times 3. We're multiplying coefficients, so negative 3. I've got x to the first, x squared, so that gives me x to the third. And then I've got y to the first, y to the first, y to the first, y cubed. All right, let's go to number 10. Now, number 10, we got a plus sign. Number 10, we got a plus sign. Okay, so no big deal. What we're going to do is we're going to take care of this and take care of this. Right? These are two separate terms. Okay, so let's reduce this term. When I say reduce, let's multiply. Right? I've got a 1 times a negative 2. I'm multiplying the coefficients in front. 1 times a negative 2 is still a negative 2. X squared and x squared. My bases are x. 2 plus 2 is 4. X to the 4th. I've got a y. I don't see any more y's, so y. Now let's go to this term. Negative 3, x to the 4th, y. You can't do anything with that. But now let's look. I've got x to the 4th, y. I've got x to the 4th, y. Okay, so what if I said x plus x? What's x plus x? Well, x plus x is 2x. Okay, my base is x, my base is x. So I can add those together. Here, my base is x to the 4th y and x to the 4th y. So I have the same base. So if I have the same base, I can add those two terms together because those are like terms. Same variable, x to the 4th y, raised to the same power, x to the 4th y. So those are like terms that I can combine those together. Well, what's negative 2 and negative 3? Negative 2 and negative 3 is negative 5. And then what's my base? My base is x to the 4th y. Let's look at number 11. Number 11, I've got 1 times 4. 1 times 4 is 4. I've got m squared times m to the 3rd, which was m to the 5th. And I've got an n. Over here, I've got a negative. I'm going to distribute that negative into that term. So I've got a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive. 5m to the 5th n. No reducing there. But once again, let's look here. What is my base? My base is m to the 5th n. What's my base here? M to the 5th n. So I know I'm not done because these are like terms. So if I have like terms, I'm going to add them together. If I've got 4 of those, I've got 5 more. If I've got 4 pieces of pizza, I add 5 pieces of pizza. I've got 9 pieces of pizza total. Well, what was my pizza? My pizza was m to the 5th n. Last one, let's go to number 12. Number 12, I'm going to multiply. So negative 2 times negative 1 is going to give me a positive 2. X squared, x to the 1st is x to the 3rd. Y squared, y to the 1st is y to the 3rd. Over here, I've got plus 4 times 1, coefficients is still 4. X to the 3rd, I don't see any more x's, so still x to the 3rd. Y and y squared is y to the 3rd. Now once again, same base. So I can add these together. These are like terms. X to the 3rd, y to the 3rd, x to the 3rd, y to the 3rd. So I'm adding 4 and 2 and I get 6. And what's my term? My term is x cubed, y cubed. Alright, now, what happens if I have a power raised to a power? So notice the difference. Here is this whole thing raised to that power. On the front, it was just this times this. There was no parentheses. Here, I have a to the m, and I'm raising that to the n power. So the power rule states that when we raise a power to another power, we can multiply the exponents. Alright, so let's see what that looks like. Let's expand this out. I've got 2 raised to the 3rd power, and I'm going to square that. Okay, well 2 raised to the 3rd is the same thing as saying 2 times itself 3 times. And I'm squaring that. So when I square something, it means I have that times itself. So I've got that times itself, right? So I've got 2 to the 3rd power twice. Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 raised to the 6th power. So you notice that I didn't add these. That would be 2 to the 5th. I multiplied. 3 times 2 is 6. That's where I got the 6 from. What about with variables? I've got x squared. So x squared is me saying I've got x times x. How many times? I have that 4 times. So I've got that once. I've got it twice. I've got it 3 times. And I've got it 4 times. So how many x's do I have multiplied together? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So x to the 8th power. Again, 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. That's not what I got. I got x to the 8th. Because I have a power, and that's raised to a power. 2 raised to the 2nd power, I'm going to multiply my exponents. Power raised to a power, I multiply my exponents. Let's look at some examples. Number 1, x to the 3rd raised to the 6th. 3 times 6 is x to the 18th. Let's go down to number 4. All right, now number 4, I've got 5x cubed twice. So I've got 5x cubed and 5x cubed. So I've got 5 times 5. I'm going to multiply the coefficients. 5 times 5 is 25. X cubed and x cubed, I've got x to the 6th. X cubed is me saying x times itself 3 times. Same thing over here. So how many x's do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, what did I do? I took the squared and I distributed it. 5 squared is 25. X to the 3rd squared is x to the 6th. 3 times 2 is 6. Same thing with number 5. I'm going to take my coefficient. I'm going to square it. So negative 3 squared is a positive 9. X to the 1st, 1, times 2 is x to the 2nd. Y squared times 2 is y to the 4th. All right, let's go to number 6. All right, number 6. Okay, we're going to let this negative hang out outside. Now I'm going to take this cubed and I'm going to distribute it to everything that I see in here. So I've got 4 raised to the 3rd power. I've got x squared raised to the 3rd power. So I've got x 2 times 3 is 6. I've got y to the 5th raised to the 3rd power. So 5 times 3 is 15. Now 4 cubed is 4 times itself 3 times. So 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. So I've got a negative 64, x to the 6th, y to the 15th. All right, let's go down to number 10. Number 10, I've got x squared raised to the 4th power. So x squared raised to the 4th, that's a power raised to a power. That's going to multiply my exponents, and I get x to the 8th. Here I've got a squared. I'm going to distribute this into every term in there. Okay, excuse me, everything in there. So negative 3 squared is a positive 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. X squared raised to the 2nd power. So power to a power we multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. X to the 4th. Y to the 1st squared. So 1 times 2 is 2. And then same thing here, I've got this cubed, that's going to go to everything inside. So 2 cubed is 8. Y squared raised to the 3rd is y to the 6th. Now I can multiply, these are all multiplied together, so I can multiply these. Alright, so I've got to multiply my coefficients. My coefficients are 1, 9, and 8. Well, 9 times 8 is 72. 72 times 1 is 72. Let's look at how many x's we got. X to the 8th, so that's x times itself 8 times, and then another 4 times, so that's x to the 12th. Now, notice we did not multiply 8 times 4. We added those, because this is not a power raised to a power. We're just multiplying here. This looks totally different than that. That's x squared raised to the 4th. That's a power raised to a power. This is just multiplication. All right, same thing here. I've got y. Okay, so y squared and y to the 6th. 2 and 6 is 8. All right, let's go to number 11. Number 11, I've got 2. Sorry, let's go here first. Okay, so I've got this cubed. I'm going to distribute this in. So write this again. I've got 2mn cubed. And that's multiplied by what I'm about to get. So 4 raised to the 3rd power. 4 raised to the 3rd power is 64. M raised to the 1st raised to the third, so power raised to a power we multiply. 1 times 3 is 3. Again, n is also 1 times 3 is 3, so n cubed. Plus, I'm going to take this squared, I'm going to distribute it here also. So negative 5 squared, negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive 25. M squared raised to the second, so power raised to a power we multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. Same thing with our n's. N is a power raised to a power. So cubed raised to the second, 3 times 2 is 6, so n to the sixth. Now let's multiply here. So we're going to multiply 2 times 64. We get 128. We've got m to the first, m to the third. That's not a power raised to a power. We're just straight multiplying, so we're going to add our exponents. 1 and 3, we got m to the fourth. We got n and n, so we can add those. 3 and 3 is n to the sixth. Plus 25, m to the fourth, n to the sixth. All right, so let's look at our bases. Are these like terms? Yes, they are. My base is m to the fourth, n to the sixth, m to the fourth, n to the sixth. So we can combine these. When we combine 128 and 25, we get 153. What's my base? My base is m to the fourth, n to the sixth. All I'm doing is I'm adding like terms here. Do not change the exponents when you add like terms. When I add x plus x, I get 2x. I don't get 2x squared. So I don't change this m to the fourth and m to the fourth and get m to the eighth. All I'm doing is I'm combining. That's totally different than when I am multiplying. Here I multiplied, so I did 8 and 4 and I got x to the 12th. Here I'm just adding, so I leave my variable the same. Just change your coefficient in front. All right, last one, number 12. Okay, number 12, I'm going to distribute my 2 to the coefficient, so 2 squared is 4. X squared raised to the second would be x to the fourth. Y to the first raised to the second would be y squared. That's multiplied by this. Distribute here also, so we've got x to the first times 2 is x squared. Y to the first times 2 is y squared. Plus, distribute your squared here, so 4 squared is 16. X cubed raised to the second power. 3 times 2 is x to the sixth. Y to the second. And that's multiplied by y squared. Alright, so let's take care of this first. 4 times 1 is 4. X to the fourth, x squared. So 4 plus 2 is x to the sixth. Y squared is y to the fourth. Now again, I'm multiplying these, so I'm changing exponents. Same thing over here. I'm going to multiply these together. So I've got 16 and I've got 1. My coefficient is 16. I've got x to the sixth. I don't see any more x's. I've got y squared. I've got y squared. I've got y to the fourth. Let's check out our base. What's our base? Our base is x to the sixth, y to the fourth, x to the sixth, y to the fourth. So these are like terms. I can combine like terms. I've got 4 of those terms. I've got 16 more of those terms. So together, I've got 20 of those terms. Well, what is the term? The term is x to the sixth, y to the fourth. Again, do not change your exponents when you are adding. This last step, all I'm doing is I'm adding these together. So add your terms, which means to add your numbers, 4 and 16, and then put your term on the end of it. X to the sixth, y to the fourth.